Hey, welcome to episode number 5. We purchased a 1985 Volkswagen Doka truck to transform it into a one-of-a-kind luxury coffee truck experience located in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. If this is your first time here, our goal is to provide you with the highest quality content on building out your DIY coffee truck, coffee trailer, or travel trailer. And that's by taking you through our process and our journey. Last episode was a fun one. We knocked out exterior trim and paint. Now that that's done with, we're excited to hone in on the interior portion of the build out. In this episode, let's jump to installing the solar panel, subfloor, heater, and air conditioner. It's going to be a fun one. Before we dive in though, let's take a look at what we've completed in episode number 4 and let's get stoked. Check it out. We got the subfloor cut and put into place. It's a little wobbly, so we're gonna add some pieces underneath to kind of account for that, and then screw it all in, and then that's our subfloor. And then it's on to installation. Good stuff. Yeah, buddy. So as you guys could tell, we actually parceled the subfloor up into 4 different pieces, and that was ultimately because the 4-foot by 8-foot piece of pine plywood that we got from Lowe's didn't fit within the rectangle on the bottom of the truck. So what we had to do was we had to strategically align that with the supports on the bottom of the floor. So when we cut it, we wanted to make sure that the very edge of it would line up on a 2x4 underneath, and then the other edge would do the exact same thing. That way it would be a completely flat surface. Originally, this subfloor was polyurethaned in episode number 1. When we cut it, we also polyurethaned the edges for obvious reasons. Boom! Let's go. So on to the next. I really want to start discussing the track that we decided to use because we're gonna have to cut some slots for that in the subfloor as well. What's up, guys? Earlier today I was working on getting the sliders and the rails and the carriages installed onto the frame, basically underneath this. They turned out pretty good. Ultimately, we wanted to allow for this cabinet in the front here, or that basically where the customers are interfacing with the barista, to be able to pull out just a little bit. So it gives us a little more dimension on the truck, and it's functional because it will give us a little bit more space on the inside. I think it's only going to be able to slide like 5 inches or something like that, but just enough to where it kind of makes sense. And I just think it's kind of cool. What do you think about that, Justin?
Yeah.
Also, what time is it?
11:14.
It might be a later night tonight, but we're trying to get this thing done. So yeah, this setup gives us a huge win. In order to make this vision come alive, I contacted a company called PBC Linear. And after talking with them and telling them more about our particular application, we ended up landing on these ceramic coated aluminum rails. And then we also ended up landing on these carriages. Well, basically after that, I got to thinking about, whether or not the rails would stay on track, and ended up asking them about a carriage stopper. And unfortunately, that wasn't something that they had. And in order to accommodate that, I would have had to just modify something, but it ended up working out just fine because the cabinet ends up running into another cabinet, and there's enough tension in the carriages themselves to not move back and forth too much. Pay close attention to the bolded lettering here, as it really just goes to show how I sized everything up, and this is important if you ever want to take the carriages off with the floors installed. I have it sized up perfectly, so just a heads up there. Also, the hardware to bolt the cabinet to the carriages and the rails to the frame was purchased at Ace Hardware, so sold separately. And finally, I ordered one 34-inch rail so that I could just cut it in half and form 2 rails for the entire rail system. So let's take a look structurally at what we had to do in order to get these rails in place. Ultimately, we needed to be strong, and I think we personally came up with a pretty good idea to really make it a part of the frame. So we ordered 2 3-foot of 3-inch wide 3/16-inch thick pieces of metal, and ultimately this is the structural component that the rails were going to sit flat on. Notice how number 2 is sitting across an existing structural support beam, and that made it easy to just weld on tabs underneath. But for number 1, it was a little bit more tricky, as we had to use the existing support bar on the other side and attach a lateral bar to support the structure that we created in order to hold up the rail system. The rails actually don't come with holes already drilled in them, so we ended up having to drill those holes, and we installed them on the supports, as you can see here. Before the subfloor can officially be laid down, go ahead and bolt down the frame to the threaded studs that we welded onto the bed of the truck in episode number 1. And don't forget to use a little bit of Loctite and a lock washer to prevent any vibrational unscrewing in the future, just as you drive down the road. And about to put this subfloor in for good, so Before pushing this all the way in though, go ahead and apply liquid nails across the edges, all the way down and around and underneath the subfloor. This will ensure that there aren't any leaks and that this subfloor is going to be down forever. Good job. Subfloor is in. We have a mixture of liquid nails and clear caulk. It will dry clear. Everything is waterproofed up and we're ready to start putting the walls in. At that point, we can measure for the cabinets. Heck yeah, boy. All right, we had a bunch of corner sealant tape left. I think it's a Dicor product. Since we had a bunch left, we decided to seal all the way around each corner and then wherever there was an overlap. Notice the screw placement all the way down. We ended up using a common decking screw. It's coated and prevents rust. All right, the subfloor is done, and that means we still need to route 3 holes in the side of the truck as well as 1 on the top. The 1 on the top is going to be for the air conditioner and the heater, and then the 3 on the side. 1 will be for the city water fill port. The next will be for the 50 amp service inlet. Finally, the last one is just for general access purposes, and that's going to be right on the side where the electrical panel is going to be. So we'll have access to that if something fails and just on our worst day. Notice on all the access doors, we used existing structural supports and framed out the hole with wood to prep for installation. So we started by drilling a hole in the corner and then using the router and the frame to guide us to making the perfect cut. Voila. On the back side of the panel's lip, we use VHB tape and then eventually screws and caulk to tie down the doors. And here we are working on the hole for the air conditioner and the heater. The RecPro website actually shows where the mounting bolts should go and how far apart they should be. You can see that we actually pre-drilled those holes and we can easily find them when we got that air conditioner up on the top. The heater AC combo was a move because if it ever gets cold enough outside, we don't want the water pipes to burst on the inside, so having a heater is clearly an awesome win for us. And the unit comes with its own seal membrane up on top, so that's awesome as well. Huge thanks to Justin for routing the electrical. We then jumped straight into installing the RMAX insulation in all the open areas where there was just plain metal. We ended up applying the leftover VHP tape to the back of them and then sticking them onto the metal, and then also cutting slits into the insulation as you can see here, and then throwing it up on the radius of the curve so that we could get that curve without breaking it. And there the big battery is. It's a deep cycle battery, and that will be run up to the solar panels up on the top. What a perfect segue to start talking about the solar panels. Our only reasons for having solar panels was to be able to control the actuators without being plugged into a generator or shore power. Because at the end of the day, the solar panels are of course charging a battery and then the power is operated off the battery. And I mean, ultimately the windows that open up like this operate as our doors to get inside. So having something that operates full time 24/7 is super important for us. For real though, it would be such a pain having to plug something like this into a generator every single time we need to get inside, but also opted to forego actually putting some sort of physical door onto our masterpiece. So this was our way to do it, and we're excited to tell you a little bit more about that. It's on. Here you go. Oh, thank you. We are putting the solar panels on the roof. Boom, there's 2 of them. We tried to get one the size of the solar panel over there. Unfortunately, that wouldn't quite cut it because it was too long this way, and so we had to resort to 2 smaller solar panels. I'm thinking that it should top it off and give us the juice we need. Oh, basically gonna mount these here, and then we're gonna put the wires through that thing, and then seal that all up really nicely. We applied VHB tape to the bottom and then followed up with the cap sealant, which is a Dicor product. Phenomenal product, by the way. The 2 ports come with rubber grommets that prevent water intrusion, and there you go. And then that will run to our 12-volt system. This might be the last time I'm on top of this bus, hopefully. So really quickly, I wanted to throw up a diagram of our 12-volt system, and as you can see, I'm going to throw up all of the products associated with it. So we have panel brackets and the Y-branch adapters. The solar panel brackets are held down by VHB tape. Next, we have MC4 solar connectors and 8 AWG wire. Then you have our wire lugs and a 12-volt deep cycle battery. And lastly, don't forget to grab a bunch of small 14-gauge wire. And I almost forgot to bring up the Grape Solar charge controller that we used, and here it is. I don't think I mentioned that the 12-volt battery also runs the water level gauges as well as the backup camera. Putting the floors in! Wait, what'd you say? We are putting the floors in finally. What did you say? Floors! Woo! We're cutting out the notches so that we can push it in, and you'll never see those edges ever again. I'm coming this way. LVP or luxury vinyl planking is actually super easy to lay down. So all you have to do is snap it together, and if you don't understand how to do it, just go look it up on YouTube. I think you guys will catch on pretty quickly. And here's the LVP that we ended up using. I feel like it looks great, but I'm also kind of biased, so With that being said, I think it's time to wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I hope you're finding a ton of value in this so far. Look. Yeah. If you guys can, please hit that like button and also subscribe. I know that helps the channel out so much. I hope your build out is going phenomenal. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd love to help. So let's close out by taking a look at what we're going to expect in episode number 6. Let's keep the encouragement going. You guys got this. Let's go.